In a distant corner of the universe, an advanced alien civilization set out to explore new habitable planets. The Zorgans, as they called themselves, had mastered interstellar travel and had colonized dozens of worlds. Their ships were sleek, fast, and equipped with the most sophisticated technology in the galaxy. One day, while scouting a new star system, the Zorgan fleet stumbled upon an old, battered human spaceship. The ship looked like it had seen better days. Its hull was dented and scorched, and it seemed to be barely holding together. The Zorgan commander, Zarlok, studied the ship on his view screen with a mixture of amusement and disdain. "Look at that pathetic excuse for a spacecraft," he sneered to his crew. "These humans must be truly primitive if this is the best they can come up with." His crew chuckled in agreement. The Zorgans were known for their arrogance and their belief in their own superiority. They had encountered many other species in their travels, but none had ever impressed them. Zarlok ordered his ship to approach the human vessel. As they drew closer, he noticed that the human ship was even more decrepit than he had initially thought. It was a wonder it could still fly at all. The human ship, named the Odyssey, had been on a long-range exploration mission when it had encountered engine trouble. The crew had been forced to make emergency repairs and were now limping back to Earth, hoping to make it home before their life support systems gave out. Captain Sarah Johnson sat in her command chair, watching the alien ships approach on her view screen. She knew the Odyssey was in no shape to fight, but she wasn't about to let these aliens intimidate her. "Open a channel," she ordered her communications officer. A moment later, Zarlok's face appeared on the screen. Sarah was struck by how humanoid he looked, despite his blue skin and glowing red eyes. "Alien vessel, this is Captain Sarah Johnson of the Earth ship Odyssey. We mean you no harm. We are simply trying to return to our home planet." Zarlok laughed, a harsh, grating sound. "You call that a ship? It looks like it belongs in a museum. You humans are even more primitive than I thought." Sarah felt her face flush with anger, but she kept her voice calm. "We may not have the most advanced technology, but we have something you clearly lack: compassion and respect for others." Zarlok's eyes narrowed. "You dare insult me, human? I could destroy your ship with a single shot." "But you won't," Sarah replied, sounding more confident than she felt. "Because deep down, you know that we are not a threat to you. We are simply explorers, seeking to learn about the universe and its wonders." For a moment, Zarlok seemed taken aback by Sarah's words, but then his expression hardened. "Enough of this nonsense. Your ship is blocking our path. Move aside or be destroyed." Sarah knew she had no choice. The Odyssey was in no condition to fight. Slowly, she reached for the controls and began to turn the ship away from the Zorgan fleet. As the human ship limped away, Zarlok and his crew watched it go, laughing and jeering at its primitive design and obvious weakness. They had no idea that the humans aboard that ship were far more resilient and resourceful than they appeared. The encounter with the aliens had shaken Sarah and her crew, but it had also strengthened their resolve. They knew they had a long journey ahead of them, but they were determined to make it back to Earth and warn their people about the dangers that lurked in the depths of space. As the Odyssey disappeared into the darkness, Zarlok turned to his crew with a smirk. "Pathetic humans," he said. "They won't last a cycle out here. Let's move on to the next system. There's nothing of value for us here." Little did he know that he had just made a grave mistake, one that would come back to haunt him and his people in ways they could never imagine. For the humans aboard the Odyssey were not as weak as they seemed, and they would soon prove to be a force to be reckoned with. The Odyssey was surrounded by the alien fleet, and they were determined to destroy the human ship. The Zorgan ships were faster, more maneuverable, and had far superior firepower compared to the Odyssey. It seemed like the end was near for the human crew. Captain Sarah Johnson knew that they had to act fast if they wanted to survive. She quickly ordered her crew to divert all available power to the engines and shields. The Odyssey's hull groaned and shuddered as the ship strained to escape the alien onslaught. Laser beams and plasma bolts filled the void of space as the Zorgon ships fired relentlessly at the fleeing Odyssey. The human ship's shields were taking a beating, and it was only a matter of time before they would fail completely. But Sarah had one last trick up her sleeve. She ordered her crew to release a cloud of debris and chaff from the ship's cargo hold, creating a temporary smoke screen that obscured the Odyssey from the Zorgon sensors. With the aliens momentarily blinded, Sarah seized the opportunity and plotted a daring escape route through a nearby asteroid field. It was a risky move, but it was their only chance to survive. As the Odyssey navigated through the treacherous field of space rocks, the Zorgon ships pursued them relentlessly. The human ship dodged and weaved through the asteroids, using the floating rocks as cover from the alien weapons. The chase seemed to go on forever, with the Odyssey barely staying ahead of the Zorgon ships. But finally, after what felt like an eternity, the human ship emerged from the asteroid field and jumped to light speed, leaving the frustrated aliens far behind. On the bridge of his ship, Commander Zarluk slammed his fist down in anger. He had underestimated the humans and their resourcefulness. He had assumed that their primitive ship would be an easy target, but instead they had managed to outsmart him and his superior technology. Zarluk's second-in-command, a tall, slender alien named Zorax, approached him cautiously. "Sir, the human ship has escaped. What are your orders?" Zarluk turned to face Zorax, his eyes blazing with fury. "We will not let them get away so easily. These humans have proven to be more troublesome than we anticipated. We will track them down and destroy them, no matter where they hide." Meanwhile, on board the Odyssey, the crew celebrated their narrow escape. They had managed to survive against all odds, thanks to the quick thinking and bravery of their captain. But Sarah knew that their troubles were far from over. The Zorgons would not take their defeat lightly, and they would undoubtedly come after them again. They needed to reach Earth as soon as possible and warn their people about the alien threat. As the Odyssey raced through space, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning of a much larger conflict. The Zorgons had underestimated the human spirit, and they had paid the price. But Sarah knew that they would not make the same mistake twice. She looked out at the stars streaking past the ship's windows and sighed. The universe was a vast and dangerous place, and the humans were just beginning to explore its mysteries. But one thing was certain: they would not go down without a fight. As the Odyssey disappeared into the depths of space, the Zorgons were left to ponder their defeat. They had always believed themselves to be the superior species, but now they had been bested by a race they considered to be primitive and weak. It was a humbling experience for Zarluk and his crew, and it left them with a newfound respect for the humans. They had underestimated their enemy, and it had cost them dearly. But the Zorgons were not ones to admit defeat so easily. They would regroup, they would learn from their mistakes, and they would come back stronger than ever. The humans had won this battle. But the war was far from over. As the Odyssey finally reached Earth, the crew was exhausted but relieved. They had survived their harrowing encounter with the Zorgons and had made it back home safely. But their relief was short-lived as they realized the gravity of the situation. Captain Sarah Johnson immediately requested an emergency meeting with the Earth Defense Council. She knew that the information she had about the Zorgons was crucial for the survival of the human race. In the meeting room, Sarah stood before a group of high-ranking military officials and scientists. She recounted the events of their mission, describing the advanced technology of the Zorgons and the immense threat they posed to Earth. The council members listened intently, their faces growing more and more concerned as Sarah spoke. They had always known that there was a possibility of encountering hostile alien life, but they had never expected it to happen so soon. After Sarah finished her report, the room erupted into a flurry of activity. The council members argued and debated about the best course of action, but they all agreed on one thing: they needed to act fast. They decided to launch a full-scale research and development program to create a new class of spacecraft that could rival the technology of the Zorgons. They would call it the Avenger Project. The best scientists and engineers from around the world were brought together to work on the project. They worked tirelessly, day and night, to design and build a ship that could stand up to the Zorgans. Months passed, and the Avenger slowly took shape. It was a marvel of human ingenuity and determination. The ship was equipped with the most advanced weapons and defensive systems ever created by humans. It had a sleek aerodynamic design that made it fast and maneuverable, and its hull was reinforced with a new type of alloy that could withstand even the most powerful alien weapons. As the Avenger neared completion, Sarah and her crew were called back into action. They would be the ones to pilot the new ship and lead the fight against the Zorgans. The day of the launch arrived, and the Avenger stood tall and proud on the launch pad. The entire world watched as Sarah and her crew boarded the ship, ready to defend their planet against the alien threat. As the engines roared to life and the Avenger lifted off the ground, the people of Earth cheered and celebrated. They knew that this was a historic moment, a turning point in the fight for their survival. But even as they celebrated, they knew that the real battle was just beginning. The Zorgans were still out there, and they would not rest until they had destroyed the human race. Sarah and her crew knew that they were the last line of defense against the aliens. They had the most advanced ship ever created, but they also knew that the Zorgans had a vast fleet of their own. As the Avenger rocketed through space, Sarah thought back to their first encounter with the Zorgans. She remembered the fear and desperation she had felt as their primitive ship was surrounded by the alien fleet. But now things were different. They had a fighting chance, thanks to the ingenuity and determination of the human race. They had created a ship that could stand up to the Zorgans, and they were ready to take the fight to the enemy. Sarah looked out at the stars and smiled. She knew that the road ahead would be long and difficult, but she also knew that the human spirit was stronger than any alien technology. They would fight, and they would win. They would show the Zorgans that the human race was not to be underestimated. They would prove that even in the face of overwhelming odds, the human spirit could prevail. As the Avenger disappeared into the depths of space, the people of Earth held their breath and waited for news of the battle to come. They knew that the fate of their planet rested on the shoulders of Sarah and her crew, and they could only hope that they would be victorious. The Avenger, Earth's most advanced spaceship, sped through the galaxy with a determined crew led by Captain Sarah Johnson. They were on a mission to confront the Zorgans and protect humanity from the alien threat. The ship was equipped with cutting-edge technology, including powerful weapons and a robust defense system, giving the crew a fighting chance against their formidable enemy. As they approached the last known location of the Zorgan fleet, the crew of the Avenger prepared themselves for the impending confrontation. They checked and double-checked their systems, ensuring that everything was in perfect working order. The tension on the bridge was palpable as they drew closer to their destination. Suddenly, the ship's sensors detected a massive energy signature ahead. The Zorgan fleet had been found, and it was even larger than they had anticipated. The crew of the Avenger knew that they were outnumbered and outgunned, but they were determined to stand their ground and fight for their planet. As the Avenger approached the alien fleet, the Zorgans immediately took notice of the human ship. Commander Zarlok, who had previously mocked the humans for their perceived weakness, was surprised to see a ship that appeared to be much more advanced than the Odyssey. Zarlok's surprise quickly turned to amusement as he assumed that the humans had merely managed to cobble together a slightly better ship. He ordered his fleet to surround the Avenger, confident that they would be able to destroy it just as easily as they had intended to do with the Odyssey. On the bridge of the Avenger, Sarah watched as the Zorgan ships moved into position around them. She knew that they were in for a tough fight, but she had faith in her crew and their ship. She ordered the weapon systems to be brought online and prepared for battle. As the Zorgan ships began to close in, Sarah gave the order to open fire. The Avenger's advanced weapon systems unleashed a barrage of laser beams and plasma bolts, catching the Zorgans off guard. The alien ships returned fire, but the Avenger's shields held strong, absorbing the brunt of the attack. The battle raged on, with both sides exchanging fire and maneuvering for position. The Avenger's superior speed and agility allowed it to evade many of the Zorgon's attacks, while its powerful weapons inflicted significant damage on the alien fleet. Zarlok watched in disbelief as the human ship continued to hold its own against his fleet. He had underestimated the humans once again, and now his ships were paying the price. He ordered his fleet to concentrate their fire on the Avenger, determined to destroy the human ship once and for all. But the crew of the Avenger had a surprise in store for the Zorgons. They activated a secret weapon that had been developed specifically for this moment. The weapon unleashed a massive energy pulse that swept through the Zorgon fleet, disabling their ships and leaving them vulnerable to attack. Sarah seized the opportunity and ordered her crew to press the advantage. The Avenger surged forward, its weapons blazing as it tore through the helpless Zorgon ships. One by one, the alien vessels exploded into balls of fire and debris, until only a handful remained. Zarlok, realizing that the tide of battle had turned against him, ordered his remaining ships to retreat. The Zorgons had been defeated, and the humans had emerged victorious. As the Avenger stood amid the wreckage of the Zorgon fleet, the crew celebrated their hard-fought victory. They had proven that humanity was not to be underestimated, and that they had the strength and determination to defend their planet against any threat. But even as they savored their triumph, Sarah knew that this was only the beginning. The Zorgons would not take this defeat lightly, and they would undoubtedly return with an even greater force. The crew of the Avenger would need to be ready for the battles to come. As the ship turned and set a course for Earth, Sarah looked out at the stars and smiled. They had won this battle, but the war was far from over. The human spirit had proven itself once again, and she knew that as long as they stood together, they could face any challenge that the universe threw their way. The crew of the Avenger, still celebrating their victory against the Zorgons, knew that they couldn't let their guard down just yet. Captain Sarah Johnson had a feeling that the aliens would not give up so easily, and she was right. As the Avenger continued its journey through space, the ship's sensors suddenly detected an incoming transmission. It was a message from the Zorgons, demanding the immediate surrender of the human ship. Sarah knew that surrendering was not an option. She had seen firsthand the cruelty and ruthlessness of the Zorgons, and she knew that they would stop at nothing to destroy humanity. She ordered her crew to ignore the transmission and continue on their course. But the Zorgons were not going to let the Avenger go that easily. They had already dispatched a new fleet of ships to intercept the human vessel, determined to finish what they had started. As the Zorgon ships approached, Sarah knew that they needed to act fast. She ordered the activation of the Avenger's cloaking device, a new technology that had been developed by Earth's scientists. The device allowed the ship to become invisible to the Zorgon sensors, giving them a crucial advantage in battle. The Avenger disappeared from view just as the Zorgon ships entered weapons range. The aliens, confused by the sudden disappearance of their target, began to search the area, their sensors scanning for any sign of the human ship. But the Avenger was not hiding. It was preparing for a surprise attack. Sarah ordered the ship to move into position behind the Zorgon fleet, using the cloak to remain undetected. When the Avenger was in position, Sarah gave the order to decloak and open fire. The ship's advanced weapon systems unleashed a barrage of laser beams and plasma bolts, catching the Zorgons completely off guard. The alien ships, still reeling from the sudden appearance of the human vessel, were quickly overwhelmed by the Avenger's firepower. The advanced shields of the human ship easily absorbed the few shots that the Zorgons managed to fire off in return. As the battle raged on, the Zorgons began to realize that they were outmatched. The Avenger's technology was far superior to their own, and the human crew was proving to be a formidable opponent. Zarlok, who had been watching the battle from his flagship, was stunned by the turn of events. He had never encountered a species that could match the Zorgons in battle, let alone outfight them. He realized that he had severely underestimated the humans and their capabilities. As the Avenger continued to tear through the Zorgon fleet, Zarlok knew that he had no choice but to retreat. He ordered his remaining ships to withdraw, leaving the Avenger and its crew victorious once again. On the bridge of the human ship, the crew erupted in cheers and applause. They had done it again, proving that humanity was a force to be reckoned with. Sarah, however, knew that this was only the beginning. The Zorgans would not take this defeat lightly, and they would undoubtedly return with an even greater force. She ordered her crew to remain vigilant and to continue their mission to protect Earth and its people. As the Avenger set a course for home, Sarah couldn't help but feel a sense of pride in her crew and their accomplishments. They had faced impossible odds and emerged victorious, thanks to their bravery, skill, and determination. She knew that the road ahead would be long and difficult, but she also knew that humanity had the strength and the will to overcome any challenge. With the Avenger and its crew leading the way, Earth had a fighting chance against any threat that the universe could throw their way. As the ship disappeared into the depths of space, the crew of the Avenger knew that they had made history. They had shown the galaxy that humanity was not to be underestimated, and that they would fight to protect their home and their people, no matter the cost. The legend of the Avenger and its crew would live on forever, inspiring generations to come. The Avenger and its crew had just achieved another stunning victory against the Zorgans, thanks to their advanced technology and tactical prowess. The human ship had managed to destroy half of the alien fleet, forcing the remaining Zorgan ships to retreat. On the bridge of the Avenger, Captain Sarah Johnson and her crew celebrated their triumph. They had proven once again that humanity was not to be underestimated, and that they had the strength and determination to defend their planet against any threat. However, their celebration was short-lived. The Avenger's sensors soon detected another wave of Zorgan ships approaching, even larger than the previous one. It seemed that the aliens were determined to crush the human resistance once and for all. Sarah knew that they couldn't afford to let their guard down. She ordered her crew to prepare for another battle, knowing that this one would be even tougher than the last. As the Zorgan ships drew closer, Sarah realized that they were employing a new tactic. Instead of attacking head-on, the aliens were spreading out their fleet, trying to surround the Avenger and cut off any escape routes. Sarah knew that they needed to act fast. She ordered the Avenger to launch a series of hit-and-run attacks, using its superior speed and maneuverability to strike at the Zorgan ships and then quickly retreat before the aliens could counterattack. The tactic worked, and the Avenger managed to inflict significant damage on the Zorgan fleet. However, the aliens were quick to adapt, and soon they were launching coordinated attacks from multiple directions, trying to overwhelm the human ship. The battle raged on for hours, with both sides taking heavy losses. The Avenger's shields were starting to fail, and its weapons were running low on power. Sarah knew that they couldn't hold out much longer. Just when all seemed lost, Sarah had an idea. She ordered the Avenger to launch a massive electromagnetic pulse, which would disable the Zorgan ship systems and leave them vulnerable to attack. The pulse worked, and the Zorgan fleet was left helpless. The Avenger seized the opportunity and launched a devastating counterattack, destroying dozens of alien ships in a matter of minutes. The remaining Zorgan ships, realizing that they were outmatched, began to retreat. Sarah ordered the Avenger to pursue them, determined to finish the job and ensure that the aliens would never threaten Earth again. The chase lasted for hours, with the Avenger constantly harrying the retreating Zorgan ships. Finally, after a series of intense battles, the last of the alien vessels was destroyed, and the Avenger emerged victorious. On the bridge of the human ship, the crew erupted in cheers and applause. They had done it. They had defeated the Zorgans and saved Earth from destruction. Sarah, exhausted but proud, addressed her crew. "Today we have shown the galaxy what humanity is capable of," she said. "We have proven that we will not be intimidated and that we will fight to protect our home and our people, no matter the cost." The crew responded with a resounding cheer, their spirits lifted by their captain's words. However, even as they celebrated their victory, Sarah knew that the war was far from over. The Zorgans would undoubtedly return, with an even greater force and even more advanced technology. But for now, the crew of the Avenger could rest and recuperate, knowing that they had earned their place in history. They had shown the galaxy that humanity was a force to be reckoned with, and that they would never back down from a fight. As the Avengers set a course for Earth, Sarah looked out at the stars and smiled. They had won this battle, but the war was just beginning, and with the Avenger and its crew leading the way, she knew that humanity had a fighting chance against any foe that dared to threaten their home. The legend of the Avenger and its crew would live on forever, inspiring generations to come and reminding the galaxy that humanity would never surrender, no matter the odds. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear: the human spirit would always prevail. In the aftermath of the Avengers' stunning victory over the Zorgan fleet, the alien commanders were left reeling. They had never encountered a species that could match their technological prowess and military might, let alone one that could defeat them in battle. On the Zorgan homeworld, the Supreme Council convened an emergency meeting to discuss the situation. The councilors were furious and demanded answers from their military leaders. Commander Zarlok, who had led the failed attack on the Avenger, was brought before the council to explain his actions. He told them about the incredible technology and tactical skills of the humans, and how they had managed to outmaneuver and outfight the Zorgan fleet at every turn. The councilors were shocked by Zarlok's report. They had always believed that the Zorgans were the most advanced and powerful species in the galaxy, and the idea that a primitive race like the humans could defeat them was unthinkable. However, they could not deny the evidence that was before them. The Avenger had proven to be a formidable adversary, and the humans had shown that they were willing to fight to the death to protect their planet. The Supreme Council knew that they could not let this challenge to their authority go unanswered. They declared the humans to be a threat to the Zorgan Empire and ordered their military to prepare for a full-scale invasion of Earth. The Zorgan fleet was mobilized, and hundreds of ships were dispatched to the human solar system. The aliens were determined to crush the human resistance once and for all, and to establish their dominance over the galaxy. However, the humans were not caught off guard. The Avengers crew had anticipated that the Zorgans would retaliate, and they had been working tirelessly to prepare for the coming invasion. Earth's defenses were strengthened, and the Avenger was joined by a fleet of newly constructed human warships, each one equipped with the same advanced technology that had proven so effective against the Zorgans. As the Zorgan fleet approached Earth, they were met by a wall of human ships, ready and willing to defend their planet to the last. The battle that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen before. The human fleet fought with incredible bravery and skill, using their advanced weapons and tactics to inflict heavy losses on the Zorgan invaders. The Avenger, once again, proved to be the key to victory, its crew working tirelessly to outmaneuver and outfight the alien ships. However, the Zorgans were not easily defeated. They fought back with all the might of their vast empire, determined to crush the human resistance and claim Earth for their own. The battle raged for days, with both sides taking heavy losses. The human fleet was pushed to the brink of destruction, but they refused to give up. They knew that the fate of their entire species hung in the balance, and they were willing to make any sacrifice necessary to ensure their survival. In the end, it was the Avenger that turned the tide of the battle. In a daring move, Captain Sarah Johnson ordered the ship to ram into the Zorgan flagship, sacrificing herself and her crew to destroy the alien command ship and throw the invading fleet into chaos. The Zorgans, their leadership destroyed and their fleet in disarray, were forced to retreat. The human fleet pursued them, harrying the alien ships and ensuring that they would never again threaten Earth. The war was over, and the humans had emerged victorious. However, the cost had been high. The Avenger was gone, and many brave men and women had given their lives to defend their planet. But the sacrifice had not been in vain. The humans had shown the galaxy that they were a force to be reckoned with, and that they would never back down in the face of any threat. As the survivors of the battle returned to Earth, they were greeted as heroes. The legend of the Avenger and its crew would live on forever, inspiring generations to come and reminding the galaxy that the human spirit could never be broken. The war may have been won, but the humans knew that the Zorgans would not forget this defeat. They would be back, stronger and more determined than ever, but the humans would be ready for them, united in their resolve to protect their home and their way of life, no matter the cost. In the wake of their victory against the Zorgans, the people of Earth knew that they could not rest on their laurels. The alien threat was far from over, and they needed to be prepared for whatever challenges lay ahead. Under the leadership of a new generation of brave men and women, Earth's defenses were strengthened like never before. The human fleet was expanded and upgraded with the latest technology, and new bases were established on strategic planets throughout the solar system. The humans also began to explore the galaxy in earnest, seeking out new allies and resources that could aid them in the fight against the Zorgans. They encountered many new species, some friendly and some hostile, but they remained steadfast in their determination to protect their home and their way of life. Back on Earth, the legend of the Avenger and its crew continued to inspire and motivate the human race. Monuments were erected in their honor, and their story was told and retold in countless books, films, and songs. But the humans knew that they could not rely on legends alone to keep them safe. They needed to be proactive and to always stay one step ahead of their enemies. To that end, Earth's scientists and engineers worked tirelessly to develop new and even more advanced technologies. They created new weapon systems, shields, and propulsion methods that would give the human fleet an edge in any future conflicts. They also began to delve into the mysteries of the universe itself, seeking to understand the fundamental laws of physics and to harness their power for the benefit of all humanity. As the years passed, the human race continued to grow and evolve. They spread out across the stars, establishing new colonies and outposts on distant worlds. They formed alliances with other species and worked together to maintain peace and stability in the galaxy. But they never forgot the lessons of the past. They knew that the Zorgans were still out there, waiting for their chance to strike again. And they knew that they needed to be ready for them. The human fleet continued to train and prepare, always vigilant and always ready for action. They conducted regular patrols and drills, honing their skills and testing their equipment to ensure that they were always at the top of their game. And when the Zorgans finally did return, the humans were ready for them. The alien fleet was met by a wall of human ships, each one bristling with advanced weapons and crewed by brave and determined warriors. The battle that followed was fierce and bloody, with both sides taking heavy losses. But in the end, it was the humans who emerged victorious once again. Their superior technology and tactics, combined with their unbreakable spirit and determination, proved too much for the Zorgans to overcome. The alien fleet was forced to retreat, and the humans pursued them, determined to end the threat once and for all. They chased the Zorgans back to their own territory and launched a series of devastating attacks on their homeworld and other key bases. The Zorgans, their empire in ruins and their leadership decimated, were finally forced to sue for peace. The humans, though victorious, knew that they could not afford to be merciful. They imposed harsh terms on the aliens, stripping them of their advanced technology and limiting their ability to wage war in the future. The galaxy had been saved, and the human race had emerged as its undisputed masters. But even in victory, they knew that they could never let their guard down. The universe was a vast and dangerous place, and there would always be new threats to face and new challenges to overcome. But the humans were ready for whatever lay ahead. They had proven themselves to be a force to be reckoned with, and they would continue to defend their home and their way of life, no matter the cost. As the human fleet set out on a new mission of exploration and discovery, the people of Earth looked to the future with hope and determination. They knew that they had the strength and the will to face any challenge that the universe could throw their way. And they knew that, as long as they stood together, they could achieve anything.